Hey there, good day. My name is Adrian Gordon and I'm a software consultant who specializes in using automation to help businesses save time and, more importantly, increase their profits. In this video, I actually want to talk about a mistake, a huge mistake actually, that I'm noticing a lot of clients, businesses are making. This mistake is not paying any attention at all to their renewal rate. Now, I know some of you are wondering what is a renewal rate and why is it something that I should even care about? Well, keep watching and you will find out. Now, according to the dictionary, the Internet Dictionary, to renew is to continue something after a period of inactivity. But we are talking about renewals in the context of business. So specifically, we're referring to you having a customer, a past customer who comes back to you to the business again. So we're looking at repeat business. The renewal rate that I'm referring to is actually a statistic, something that you can track, right? And once you start tracking this renewal rate, you're either going to see one of three things. You're gonna see it going up, staying flat, or going down. If you see your renewal rate going down, that is actually a very strong indication that your customers are not getting, or well, actually let me say they do not feel as though they're receiving enough value from your services in order to justify the cost of continuing the relationship with you. So in this video, for the remainder, I'm going to be outlining some strategies that you can embark on in order to improve your renewal rate. Now, as I'm a software consultant, of course, I'm going to be biasing these tips towards software renewals. But do not click off the video yet, because a lot of these concepts are actually applicable to any kind of business. Okay? So let's get into the first one. The very first thing that you need to do is, of course, to find out why. Why are your customers choosing not to renew? What is the reason? Now, before I get into my own tips, I'm going to mention something that potentially may make some of my contemporaries in the IT space upset. But keep in mind, I'm not trying to hurt any feelings. I'm just talking from my experience and what I've seen. Generally speaking, one of the main suggestions that you will get is to conduct something called A/B tests. But what are A/B tests? Essentially, think about having a website. What you do is segment your audience. You find some kind of way to segment them, and you show one set of people one thing and another set something else. And you essentially keep going through that process until you find the thing that works best for your audience. No, don't get me wrong, this works, it does work, and it's a good approach depending on the situation. But it requires two things that a lot of businesses don't have. One, you need to have a fairly large audience for the statistics to be relevant and accurate. So we're talking about a few hundred. And you know that you may have that, you may not. The other thing that you need to have is time. Guys, this is something that takes long, because essentially you are guessing your way to the solution. Again, I'm not trying to get nobody upset, but this is literally what you're doing. You're trying one thing and you're trying something else, and you try until you get to the thing that is working for your audience. I don't like that. I personally think that if having recurring business is important to your bottom line, you shouldn't really be playing the guessing game. In my opinion, you should be going directly to your customers and you just ask them. I think you should take the human approach, right? And that could be, depending on what you have access to, you can do a phone call if you have their number. You call some customers and ask them, I noticed that you decided not to renew. I noticed I haven't heard from you in a while. Why is that? You can do an in-person meeting, even better. Guys, the human touch makes a big difference, especially when we're talking about ongoing relationships, right? You can have a meeting or you can email them. Lastly, you could send a survey, but to be honest, I really don't like that one either. And I may be biased, but this is because of my own personal behavior when I get a survey. Because for the most part, and this is especially the case if there's some kind of incentive, maybe you get a free month or whatever, what I do, I open the survey and I just go through it as fast as possible. And then worse, if I say page 2, I'm out. I can't be bothered with that. And I suspect majority of people take that approach. I could be wrong. But we're not really interested in vague answers from a survey. We want direct interaction with the customer to know exactly what is going wrong or what is missing. Because generally, if you see that your renewal rate is going down, something has changed for the most part, especially if you've been in business for a while and it was fine before, then it starts to dip. Something has changed in the environment that has changed your customers' appetite and essentially soured their taste for your service. So you really need to find out what that is and accurately so that you can address the issue as fast as possible. Alright guys, so for this second strategy, we're going to get just a little bit nerdy. Now if you recall, I spoke about A/B testing earlier. So what we're gonna take from that is the whole concept of customer segmentation. Because for this to work, you need to be able to observe your customers and their renewals in groups. But as opposed to playing the guessing game, we're gonna take a different approach. We're gonna take an intellectual approach that allows us to be more deliberate in our actions, okay? When you observe your customers in segments, specifically the renewal rate in segments, what you are going to see is that there are some segments that have higher renewal rate than others. And most likely there's going to be one or two that stands out in a significant way. Now, if you are open-minded and sufficiently flexible, what you can do is actually cater your services towards this group of people and for the most part ignore the others. Now, in the short term, what's going to happen is that you will slowly lose these other segments of customers who, for the most part, have the lower renewal rate. But over time, as your service to the customers that already like what you're providing improves, you're going to attract more of these kind of customers. And over time, you're going to be flushing out the low renewal rate customers and taking in customers that have a higher renewal rate because your services are more aligned with them. So over time, you're actually gonna make more money that way. And outside of just money, you're just gonna have more satisfied customers and you'll feel good to know that yes, you have a nice customer base who appreciates the services that you're providing and they're sticking around long term. They're loyal, okay? Now, I know that some of you probably have no way of accessing this type of data, but guess what? I exist. So you can actually reach out to me and I'll take a look at what you currently have and either update it so that you're able to take a look at this type of data. So I'll basically be pulling it out and displaying it in a way that highlights these groups for you, or if you have nothing already, we can create something custom to do the same thing. All right, it all depends. So on to the final tip. All right, now sometimes the issue is not actually with the service that you're providing, but the way in which it is priced. Now to illustrate this, I'm gonna give you an example, a story from my real life, something that actually occurred to me right before I started recording this clip. I distinctly remember a few years ago when I had first started my business, so a time back, I recognized the need for a password manager because of course I was dealing with a bunch of different companies' accounts and I needed a way to store it securely as well as generate randomized passwords without having to do that manually. And I first took a look at a software called LastPass, actually a really good software that I recommend. I remember at the time, LastPass business tier, they only offered me the ability to pay one time for the year, as in it was a yearly subscription, not monthly. And at that time, I remember being a bit apprehensive because I didn't want to pay that big money at once. So actually what I did was I started looking around at other services. And keep in mind, I, at that point, actually used LastPass personally. Now, the fact that I was apprehensive, even though it's a service that I was familiar with and used in my personal life, that's not good. Now, ultimately, I did end up with LastPass, but I easily could have gone in a different direction just because of that. And this is a service that I enjoy using, okay? And let's look at this from a different perspective as well, because you actually have a lot of companies, especially in the B2B space, that do not like monthly payments. They prefer to pay it all at once and just get it over with. And you find that this is generally the case when there is a specific budget. They don't want to manage monthly payments. They just want to pay it and know, say, okay, this has come out of the budget and that's that. So, in my opinion, it's best to be as flexible as possible with your payment structure. Actually, I consider that a part of good customer service. And you hear me saying service a lot, and service is one of the most important things if you want to maintain a good renewal rate, because it's about relationships really. All right, so try to be as flexible as possible with your payment structure. So you can offer monthly and yearly, maybe if you can do 3 months. It all depends on what kind of service you're providing, to whom, and what's feasible for what you're doing, okay? Okay, dokes, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I actually appreciate that a lot, and I hope that your time was well spent. And through consuming this, you found a way to improve your renewal rate and your business just generally as a whole. One thing before you go, if you have a business and you are interested in integrating a automated subscription payment system, get in touch with me. Specifically, I'm talking about a system to which your customer signs up on your platform or whatever you have, and the payments are automatically taken from their bank account and put into your bank account, okay? And yes, in Jamaica as well. Just reach out to me, because this is something that my team can actually pull off, all right? I'll see you in the next video.